day 127 of our journey through the Bible. Today we begin with the prophet Habakkuk. He struggled with the age-old problems of evil and human suffering. His book has only 3 short chapters, but they present a rather striking contrast. In the first 2 chapters, Habakkuk protests, complains, and questions God. He uses this complaining and questioning technique to drive home a very powerful message about the approaching judgment of God. Habakkuk begins this book with a cry of woe. Injustice is rampant. The righteous are surrounded by the wicked. The law is powerless, and God doesn't seem to care about the plight of his people. He wonders why God is allowing these things to happen. God's reply brings little comfort to the prophet. He explains that the armies of Babylon are moving throughout the ancient world on a campaign of death and destruction. God says Judah will be the next to fall. The prophet was shocked at the news. He reminded God of his justice and holiness. How could he use the wicked Babylonians to destroy his chosen people? Surely he realized the sins of his people were as nothing when compared to the pagan Babylonians. And so he asked God, why do you hold your tongue when the wicked devours one more righteous than he? This direct question indicates Habakkuk's great faith. Only a person very close to God would dare to question the purposes of the Almighty so boldly. God assures Habakkuk that the Babylonians will prevail not because they are righteous, but because they are temporary instruments of judgment in his hands. Then he pronounces 5 burdens of woe against the Babylonians. God will not be mocked. The end of the Babylonians is as certain as the judgment they will bring on Judah. In all of this, God will vindicate his righteous character. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. After this assurance, Habakkuk breaks out with a beautiful psalm of praise to God. It's found in chapter 3. This is one of the greatest testimonies of faith in the Bible. The other book we quickly want to look at today is Zephaniah. This prophet was God's spokesman to the southern kingdom of Judah, and he began in the same year as the great prophet Jeremiah. One theme of his message was that through his judgment, God would preserve a remnant, a small group of people who would continue to serve as his faithful servants in the world. Zephaniah contains only 3 short chapters, but these chapters are filled with some of the most vivid pictures of God's judgment to be found in the Bible. He describes the day of the Lord as a time of trouble and distress, darkness and gloominess, trumpet and alarm. Yet after God judges the wayward nations, the prophet announces he will raise up a remnant of the faithful who will continue to serve as his covenant people in the world. The book ends with a glorious promise for the future, a time when God will quiet you in his love and rejoice over you with singing. Let me finish today by reading from this great book, chapter 2, verses 12 through 14. Woe to him who builds a city with bloodshed and founds a town with violence. Is it not indeed from the Lord of hosts that peoples toil for fire and nations grow weary for nothing? For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea.